Welcome everyone to part 6 of our sessions on exploring the advent of divine justice. And before we start, we'll have an opening prayer. Please.
O thou compassionate Lord, thou who art generous and able, we are servants of thine, sheltered beneath thy providence. Cast thy glance of favor upon us. Give light to our eyes, hearing to our ears, and understanding and love to our hearts. Render our souls joyous and happy through thy glad tidings, O Lord. Point out to us the pathway of thy kingdom and resuscitate all of us through the breath of the Holy Spirit. Bestow upon us life everlasting and confirm upon us never-ending honor. Unify mankind and illumine the world of humanity. May we all follow thy pathway, long for thy good pleasure, and seek the mysteries of thy kingdom. O God, unite us and connect our hearts with thy indissoluble bond. Verily, thou art the giver, thou art the King, one, and the kind one, and thou art the Almighty. Abdul Baha.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bruce. Welcome everyone. Really good to see everyone. And to another great session today. We're going to pick up in our Advent of Divine Justice. So last time we were studying paragraphs 12 through 15. Okay, so we didn't finish the study of paragraph 15. Okay, so who was the, I would believe it was Beatriz, right?
Right.
Excellent, please go for it. Let's read paragraph 15.
Excuse me, Sanjun.
Yes, Shilajah.
As far as like I have one of these small booklet with me.
Yes.
What page would it be about?
Oh, excellent question. I have it. Does anyone have a handy book or?
Yes, it would be, Shilajah, it would be page 7, second paragraph.
There you go, page 7, second paragraph. Thank you very much, Rohita.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I have my handy book around, but generally, I'm always going to refer to it always as paragraphs, okay? So that's how the house studies everything by paragraphs. And so this is something just to become more familiar with as we study things, okay? Excellent. So go for it, Beatriz.
The community of the organized promoters of the faith of Baha'u'llah in the American continent, the spiritual descendants of the dawnbreakers of an heroic age, who by their death proclaimed the birth of that faith, must in turn usher in, not by their death, but through living sacrifice, that promised world order. They shall ordain to enshrine that priceless jewel, the world civilization, of which the faith itself is the sole begetter. While sister communities are bending beneath its tempestuous winds that beat upon them from every side, this community, preserved by the immutable decrees of the omnipotent ordainer and deriving continual sustenance from the mandate with which the tablets of the divine plan have invested it, is now busily engaged in laying the foundations and in fostering the growth of those institutions which are to herald the approach of the age destined to witness the birth and rise of the world order of Baha'u'llah.
Thank you very much, Beatriz. So this is paragraph 15, Advent of Divine Justice. The community of the organized promoters of the faith of Baha'u'llah in the American continent. The spiritual descendants of the dawn breakers of an heroic age. I'm going to share this an extract. I'm going to send it to you. Mr. Mahajer, Hand of the Cause of God. I'm sure most of you have heard and seen stories and read books of Mr. Mahajer. He actually, interestingly, said, if you cut the life vein of any American Baha'i in this country, the blood that flows is the same blood of the dawn breakers. He said, we are that close. You know, and I will share that extract. It's very beautiful. It was in a talk he gave. He said, we are the spiritual descendants of the dawn breakers of a heroic age. Okay, so let us go now into the study of this paragraph 15 and so forth. Okay, so let's pick up where we were. We were on slide 32. Okay. Oh, and anyone that is not talking at the current time, mute yourselves as usual, okay? Okay, just always check on that. And this is your class, dear friends. Anytime you want to jump in, as always, jump in. And Dawn, your job is always dictionary, okay? And so always have your dictionary handy. There's always, words, of the beloved guardian that are, a little harder than the rest, okay? So always have your dictionary handy. And if there's any questions, don't hesitate, or thoughts. Also, we're going to, there's sometimes points that we sometimes go over and over. So just bear with it. They're there for additional stress. Okay, let us continue. Who would like to read this extract on slide 32? Just unmute yourself and go for it.
The statement of Abdul Baha in Shoghi Effendi. In Shoghi Effendi's interpretation implies that America as a nation and the North American Baha'i community in particular will play major roles in the unfoldment of the new world order in its full glory. Finally, in paragraph 15, Shoghi Effendi identifies the North American Baha'i community as the spiritual descendants of the dawn breakers of the cause in Persia who proclaimed the birth of revelations of the Bab and Baha'u'llah by their martyrdoms. Similarly, the North American believers must usher in the world order of Baha'u'llah through their living sacrifice, not death, building the institutions that will herald the unfoldment of that order.
He's frozen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ehsan, you are frozen.
Ehsan, you're frozen. I can't hear you.
I think he's disconnected. I texted him.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
I think,
this is
I
my
think
badge.
he's trying to get back.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
I think the Zoom went down.
But we are, yeah, oh, you mean the PowerPoint? Yeah, because he got disconnected, so he was sharing his screen.
Did you guys hear me when I was reading?
Yeah, we could hear you.
I cannot
No,
hear the screen now. Screen is gone.
Yes, because Ehsan is gone.
Okay.
How is the weather there?
We're
Great.
getting some cloud. No rain.
Excuse me, friend. The internet was playing a game on Ehsan. He will be
Yes.
back just in few seconds. It's just connecting.
Yes.
We're keeping ourselves entertained.
It's happened to me a few times.
To my
It's
to my
wonderful to see so many friends on the screen. Very good. He's just getting ready.
there is no sign of
Listen,
hurricane here.
Where are you located?
Southwest.
Oh, okay.
Highway 10 and Gessner Corner. But
Okay.
we have a sunny day here.
Yeah, in Sugarland is not too bad either. We have some clouds, but nothing yet. We have to pray for Louisiana and
Another few short seconds. Ehsan connects.
Things
Allah
are happening all over the world.
Allah Dadash Jun. Good to
Oh,
hear you.
Allah Mahvajan. How are you? So good to see you.
Thank you.
I guess there is no class tonight.
Hi, Sheila June. How are you?
Hi, Aziza.
Because you joined in, the class is
Everyone.
finished.
Pardon me?
I said you joined in and the class is over.
Yeah,
Ehsan got scared and said, no more class.
I guess so. No, tonight because of the weather, even though we didn't get any rain so far, thank goodness, but it's a good excuse.
All right.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Yay.
Are you speaking, Ehsan? Because we can't hear you.
I guess you can hear me now.
Yes.
There we go. Yes, excellent. Okay, so very good. So thank you very much, Saeed Jan, for reading this.
Oh, of course, it's my pleasure.
Excellent. So this is the statement of Abdul Baha in paragraph 15, okay? And in this paragraph 15, the beloved guardian identifies the North American Baha'i community as the spiritual descendants of the Dawnbreakers, okay? This is such a profound statement of the beloved guardian. And I'm going to share with you a very beautiful talk of Robert C. Henderson. And he gave a very powerful, moving talk on this one line even, the spiritual descendants of the dawn breakers, and our role that we have to take up as American Baha'is in our role to, you know, carry on that legacy of heroism that the Persian Baha'i community so sacrificially shed their blood in that country. But what does it say? He says, not by their death, but here by a living sacrifice that we have to undertake in this country. Not by, there's no more martyrdoms, hopefully not in this country, right? But we have to be living martyrs, giving everything, right? So, excellent. So happy to see you, Dennis. So happy to see everyone in attendance. It fills my heart with joy. So let us move to our next slide, and let's make it full screen. There we go. Okay, let's have Dawn read this one. Dawn, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My connection is not good, sorry. In Citadel of Faith, written in 1947, Shoghi Effendi shed some light on the processes associated with America that would eventually lead to the realization of the New World Order. In this connection, he identifies two simultaneous but independent and closely linked processes.
Excellent. Thank you, Dawn. I urge also everyone to read this great one. You know, obviously we're on Advent to Divine Justice. Citadel of Faith is another great book. These are a compilation of letters written from 1947 to 1957. And in this compilation of letters of the Beloved Guardian, as mentioned here, the Beloved Guardian talks about these two simultaneous but independent processes: disintegration and integration. Okay? And the first process that is really highlighted in this Citadel of Faith is the first process is associated with the mission of the North American Baha'i community. This is the process of integration that started with the revelation of the tablets of the divine plan. This is the mandate that we really went into in the first part, if you recall. In our first part, we talked about these tablets of the divine plan. But what happened, it was suspended for about 20 years with the North American Baha'i community developing the necessary administrative structure to undertake its tasks. The word the Beloved Guardian uses is the word abeyance, okay? So the development of the community was held in abeyance. So they were developing all the necessary capacities during that period till the first 7-year plan in 1937, the Beloved Guardian issues in 1937, 1 year before this great letter that we're studying, written in Christmas Day, December 25th, 1938, okay? So, and I hope, dear friends, you've been looking at these documents I've been sending you on the plans, the cycles, the ages, and everything, because these are ancillary readings, sure, but I hope they are also furthering your depth of knowledge on these ages, these cycles, these plans that are becoming, okay? So the administration has been evolving. It is an organic in nature, embryonic in nature. So this administration is continually evolving. So, you know, at one point, you know, we've always had local spiritual assemblies. You know, it's been written in the Kitab Aqdas. They're called houses of justice, men of justice in that sense. That's why we have men of justice on the Universal House of Justice. But it talks about local spiritual assemblies, even in the Kitab Aqdas. And then this evolving order. We have national spiritual assemblies. It came into being in the Will and Testament of Abdul Baha. And as we have regional councils. So this is evolving structure of this divine plan. The administration evolved through 2 consecutive 7-year plans until 1953, okay? So 2 7-year plans. The development of the North American Baha'i community continued during the 10-year crusade. Was anyone, does anyone remember the 10-year crusade? I'm sure there's some friends in this audience that might be around during that period. Does anyone remember the 10-year crusade and the heroism that was going on? I would have loved to see that and experience that, and will continue as a result of other systematic plans that will be devised and initiated by the Universal House of Justice. This evolution will be completed when the Baha'i World Commonwealth emerges into the golden age of the Baha'i Dispensation. And if you do not remember about this Baha'i World Commonwealth, go back to the YouTube link that's on there, and you can always refresh on what this Baha'i World Commonwealth is. And I urge you also to refresh on that. And the reason is because it's everything we're working for. It's everything we do to strive for. If anyone ever says, you know, Roya Jan or Kambi's Jan or Yuda Miller or Sayyidi Jan or Gila Jan, what are we working for as Baha'is? What is the purpose of the Baha'i faith? It is the Baha'i World Commonwealth. And what is the Baha'i World Commonwealth? Go to part 5 and you can go see it right there, and it's all an extract from World Order of Baha'u'llah. Okay? And you can go through it and we can see exactly what this Baha'i World Commonwealth is in all of its ramifications, and in my words, absolute beauty of what it's going to be. Okay? Now, what is the second process that's going on? So that the first process was the Baha'i community, the administration evolving over time. Now there's a second process that is working in parallel, okay, to the first process. And then we find this in Citadel of Faith. That's what was mentioned earlier. So the second process is associated with the role that the American nation, this is very interesting, dear friends, so pay attention to this part. Though unaware of the revelation of Baha'u'llah, so they're completely unaware of it, right? But they have this role, and they're fulfilling this role. It plays in the establishment of the New World Order. So unaware, they're still carrying on this role in this process. And this process commenced when the American nation turned its attention to world affairs with the outbreak of World War I. So this is when it happened. And this engagement grew stronger when the President Woodrow Wilson gave a speech to the United States Congress on the 8th of January, 1918, outlining a statement of principle for peace known as the 14 points to guide the peace negotiations at the end of World War I. So this is a process that they're unaware completely, but they're still carrying on their role. And yes, and I really appreciate, I'm learning as you are learning. And I did not know myself how, per se, racist Woodrow Wilson was. You know, I'm learning along with you guys. He was quite a racist, you know, and he was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. He was also, you know, very heavily involved in segregation, as, you know, causing and really keeping and perpetuating African Americans in a state of persecution in this country. But this one good act and this one good deed was praiseworthy. Maybe everything else he did was terrible, but this one good deed he did, and it's not his life, it's his one deed, okay? So that's the only point I'm going to be highlighting about President Woodrow Wilson, and we have to remember that, okay? And so this is what he did. In order to prevent another world war, the American and the British statesmen established the League of Nations. We've covered these points, but I'm just restating them for some of the friends that are newly joining us. However, Woodrow Wilson did not manage to convince Americans to join the League of Nations. Although the United States continued to play an economically crucial role in advancing peace in Europe during the 1920s. There was an interesting document that was drafted. It's called the Atlantic Charter. And this is when the United States became more deeply involved in the affairs of the world with the outbreak of World War II. On the 14th of August, 1941, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who always used to have a cigar in his hand or in his mouth. You see this in almost every picture. He issued a joint policy statement. This is a very important document that was drafted, known as the Atlantic Charter for a post-war world, that was confirmed later by all the allies involved in World War II. So this is the grounds that was set for the basis of the United Nations. So the Atlantic Charter was incorporated by reference into the Declaration of the United Nations on the 1st of January, 1942. That was signed by 26 countries. I mean, it lifts your heart when you hear something of this beauty. I know we all know United Nations is still in its infancy. It's still got big problems. A lot of it's the, countries that are member states of it have not given up its sovereignty, its powers, but still, the United Nations, 26 countries coming together to work and together, it's an incredible thing. The world has never seen this at that point. This became the basis of the modern United Nations. The final charter of the United Nations was discussed and accepted at the United Nations Conference on International Organization convened in San Francisco on the 25th of April, 1945. Now, this is a very important event. San Francisco? Why San Francisco? We know, United Nations is where? New York, right? But why it happened in San Francisco on the 25th of April, 1945 in the big conference, very famous. The San Francisco conference was attended by 50 countries from all parts of the world. The United Nations Charter was unanimously signed on the 26th of June and promulgated on 24th of October, 1945. And the cornerstone for the permanent seat of the United Nations was laid in New York City in 1949. And as you see on the right, this is the Declaration of the United Nations, pledging to employ its full resources, military or economic, in what? The struggle for victory over Hitlerism. Hitlerism. Not even Nazism, but Hitlerism. And I think this is meaning any tyrannical form of government, any type of regime that is type of like Hitler. I would assume that's what they're implying. Okay. Now, remember I was talking about San Francisco? Now, this is why I talked about it. Deborah, would you like to read this one? And good to see you, Deborah.
Thank you. During his journeys in the United States, Abdu'l-Baha visited Sacramento, the capital of California, about 120 kilometers northeast of San Francisco. On 26 October 1932, he gave a talk on international peace at the Assembly Hall of Hotel Sacramento. In that talk, he foretold the San Francisco Conference by stating, "Inasmuch as the Californian seems peace-loving and possessed of great worthiness and capacity, I hope that advocates of peace may daily increase among them until the whole population shall stand for that beneficent outcome. May the men of affairs in this democracy uphold the standard of international conciliation. Then may altruistic aims and thoughts radiate from this center toward all other regions of the earth. And may the glory of this accomplishment forever halo the history of this country. May the first flag of international peace be upraised in this state. May the first illumination of reality shine gloriously upon this soil. May this center and capital become distinguished in all degrees of accomplishment, for the virtues of humanity and the possibilities of human advancement are boundless.
Beautifully read. Thank you, Deborah. So
Thank you.
there he is. May the first flag of international peace be upraised in the state. And just like he, hoped and prayed, it was. And
Excuse me.
Yes, Miss Yuda.
It says here October 26, 1932.
That's when.
It should be 1912.
That's right. Typo. Spot on, Miss Yuda Miller. My chubby fingers when I'm typing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's chubby fingers of my hands. So Abdul Baha passed 1921, 1932 not possible unless he's, not possible. So that's 1912. Good catch, Miss Yuda. I will correct that in futures for the future sessions. As I've said, you all are my guinea pigs, my first class. So catch all my mistakes, okay? Thank you so much. Okay, but as you can see, His Holiness Abdul Baha saw and hear, and he said, may the first flag of international peace be upraised in this state. And in our previous slide, what happened? It was discussed and accepted United Nations Conference on International Organization, convened San Francisco, 25th April, 1945. So 1912, he was there, not 1932, or 1912, he gave his talk in Sacramento and talking about San Francisco, that he was hoping and praying that the first gathering for international peace will be in California. And lo and behold, the first gathering of 26 countries emerged, San Francisco. Really cool. I love this, how these things happen like this. And then the permanent seat ends up in New York. Okay? So, New York City, the city of the covenant. Okay, Roya-Jan, please go for it.
Abdul Baha also designated New York City as the city of the covenant. In a talk Abdul Baha gave at the reception by the New York Peace Society on 13th May 1912, he stated, "The powers of earth cannot withstand the privileges and bestowals which God has ordained for this great and glorious century. It is a need and exigency of the time. Man can withstand anything except that which is divinely intended and indicated for the age and its requirements. Now, praise be to God, in all countries of the world, lovers of peace are to be found, and these principles are being spread among mankind, especially in this country. Praise be to God, this thought is prevailing, and souls are continually arising as defenders of the oneness of humanity, endeavoring to assist and establish international peace. There is no doubt that this wonderful democracy will be able to realize it, and the banner of international agreement will be unfurled here to spread onward and outward among all the nations of the world."
Thank you, Roya-Jan. And this is the Hotel Astor where he gave this talk, May 13th, 1912, in regards, and this is his declaration when he declared New York City as the city of the covenant. So, continuing on this theme of America's spiritual destiny, the beloved guardian, Shaykh Effendi, refers to other significant foreign policies of the United States and its engagement in world affairs, and then states that the journey of the American nation, however long and tortuous the way, must lead through a series of victories and reverses. So victories and reverses, we're going to be pulling back sometimes, to the political unification of the Eastern and Western hemispheres, to the emergence of a world government and the establishment of the lesser peace as foretold by Baha'u'llah and foreshadowed by the prophet Isaiah. It must in the end culminate in the unfurling of the banner of the most great peace in the golden age of the dispensation of Baha'u'llah. So,
Hey, Ehsan, I have a question for you.
please testify, please go for it.
Yeah, why Abdul Baha chose New York is to be the city of the covenant? Because we have a lot of cities that diversely populated in the world. So why is New York chosen?
Hold on to your question, Tesfaya. We'll come to that one. That is a great question, and it will be answered. That is a great question. And we may have answered it. Does it, but I'll answer it to you right now, okay? But I have the answer. Now think about the quotes of Sea of Materialism. I don't know if we've come to that point yet. We have not, Ms. Deborah is shaking her head on it. We haven't come to that? Nope. Okay, no. So, okay, just hold on to that question. We're going to come to it. It's a great question. Why New York? And it's a great city, but there's also many other great cities in America. Why New York? So we're going to come to it, okay?
Okay.
So carrying on, one of the other per se requirements of the lesser peace is the completion of the ark that is on Mount Carmel, okay? And I was actually reading a document on all the construction of the ark buildings, Universal House of Justice, International Teaching Center, the study of the text, there's one building that's still not there. Did you know this? It's the International Baha'i Library. And so the ark per se is not complete yet. And this is one of the requirements for the emergence of the lesser peace. So this is something I know was, the lesser peace, there was letters that Abdul Baha was hoping that the lesser peace would emerge before the close of the century, meaning the year 2000. So everyone was hoping by 2000, the lesser peace would emerge. Has not happened per se. And so this is also was per se one of the requirements also of the lesser peace, was the completion of the buildings on the ark. So this, and also I've also sent you many great documents on the lesser peace. And I hope all of you are studying and your ancillary documents and reading. And anyone that is newly joining us, you're now on the list for other documents and readings and videos that I'm going to be sending you. So got to keep up in your readings and studying, okay?
Ehsan Jan, may I add a comment here?
Please, absolutely.
Yeah. The only reference at all to the previous century and the end of that century is in a letter by Abdul Baha to Mrs. White, who was the wife of Reverend White, who was the moderator of Church of Scotland. In that letter, Abdul Baha quotes series of steps that are going to take place. That's what is called 7 candles of unity, several things, such as international language, emergence of common approach to solving big problems, and so on. And Abdul Baha says, I wish, or says, all these may happen in this great century. And because that lady was a Christian, because in the beginning of the letter, she says, Abdul Baha, I'm a Christian. And Abdul Baha starts by answering that you said you're a Christian. I wish the whole world were Christians. And then goes on to explain what does it mean to be a Christian, which really means to be a Baha'i. People assumed that that reference is to Christian era, namely the 20th century. But that can be understood very, very differently. And the House never confirmed that was meant to be that century. It means this century of the faith, relating to this era of the faith, rather than that particular 20th century. But that's the only reference, and quite right that some people very happily thought that that was it, and by year 2000, everything is going to happen, but that wasn't the intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Carrying on, towards the end of the message, the beloved guardian, Shoghi Effendi, further elaborates on the journey that the Americans will take towards its destiny. And this is still in Citadel of Faith, page 33. The guardian states, many and diverse are the setbacks and reverses which this nation extolled so highly by Abdu'l-Baha, and occupying at present so unique a position among its fellow nations, must alas suffer. That's pretty harsh, right? It must alas suffer. The road leading to its destiny is long, thorny, and tortuous. The impact of various forces upon the structure and polity of that nation will be tremendous. Tribulations on a scale unprecedented in its history and calculated to purge its institutions, to purify the hearts of its people, to fuse its constituent elements, and to weld it into one entity with its sister nations in both hemispheres, are inevitable. The road is thorny and tortuous. Pretty strong what's coming, right? It's not happened yet, you know, we've had some thorny roads along the way, but this is going to be a long, thorny, tortuous road. I think of it like this also, you know, think of it even on the individual level, how you have to conquer yourselves of prejudices and conquer all your inner struggles. And that's not an easy battle within ourselves. Now think about the country, you know, what the country has to go through, all the tests, the trials, and the problems that, you know, we already see blood in our streets in many cities, you know, this is a thorny road that we're going to be going through. So this is the beloved guardian talking about setbacks and reverses. So we're not always per se going forward, right? There's problems that we're going to see. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm answering everyone's questions. I will send the article on the International Baha'i Library to everyone, okay? I saw you were asking about that. It's actually a really awesome question on that, okay? And Ms. Sheila, I saw you taking pictures of the screen. You don't have to do that. I send slides to everyone, okay?
Can I ask you something?
Yes, Ms. Yuda.
What is meant by formative?
Oh, very good question. Let's go to our dear Dawn. Dear Dawn, you are our dictionary. What does formative mean? He's pulling out his dictionary, scrolling to the F's. Formative. Let me see. Don, can you hear me? Are you there? Still there?
I'm here. It's
Excellent.
not in my dictionary. I'll need to get a bigger one.
Oh, okay. It's not in your dictionary. Wow.
I'll look it up on the web.
Okay, he's looking it up on the web. There you go. Oh, and side notes, just on a different level, there's a combination of words. Combination of words in the Advent of Divine Justice that you will never find anywhere else. And when we get to it, I will share that with you, because, you know, every quote and every extract, I've searched for it to see if it's referenced anywhere else. And this combination of words is the first time the Guardian put these two words together. It's very interesting.
Ehsan Jun, as I Googled for at least the Baha'i information, it says the formative age, as Shoghi Effendi refers to it, is known as the transitional or Iron Age.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I also found the definition.
Please.
It says, serving to form something, especially having a profound and lasting influence on a person's development. An example, the formative years.
Excellent. So forming, right? It's a formative period. So it's forming something. And it's the stage of development. Really, that's what it is. It's the stage of development. And I have a slides on it, so you'll see exactly what it is. But I wanted you to look it up because that's good practice to look up things.
And Ehsan, more specifically, it says it's the period that began with the passing of Abdu'l-Baha
Yes.
until the establishment of the Golden Age.
Excellent. Thank you, Roya John. Yes. The formative period started really with the passing of Bahá'í Khanum and when she passed. And, you know, they say it was the passing of Abdu'l-Baha, the beloved guardian corrected it, saying really it was the period starting the passing of Bahá'í Khanum. She was the last member of the family of Baha'u'llah. And so from that point, the formative age really started, and that closed the period of the heroic age. And we are now in the period of the formative age till, and when we don't know when the golden age will emerge, but it's an indefinite period. We're right now in the formative age. And we're going to discuss all of this right now, actually. So the entire history of the revelation of His Holiness Baha'u'llah can be divided into 3 ages. And I've sent you my complete study on the ages and cycles of the faith, and quite large documents as well. So I urge you to go through them, read them. Each age on its own consists of a number of epochs and periods, okay? So let us explore this. So this is just a chart, okay? So let us look at this chart. This starts, you know, you say even there are previous cycles before Adam, then it's Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, the Bab, and then Baha'u'llah. This is the period of the Baha'i dispensation starts, and it's a Baha'i cycle is for 500,000 years. And prior to the Baha'i dispensation was a period called the Adamic cycle, okay? And this is, we're right now in this cycle called the present is the universal cycle. And you can see there's an indefinite number of future revelations. We don't know how many there's going to be. And at the very bottom, you can see the Bahá'í dispensation. You can see this is the Bahá'í dispensation. It's ended 1853. It was 1844 to 1853. It was 9-year ministry. And then Baha'u'llah is, his ministry was from 1863 to 1892, 1853 to 1892. Then Abdu'l-Baha's ministry to 1921. Then the Beloved Guardian's ministry from 1921 to 1957. And then it was a period called the Ministry of the Custodians. And then they handed it off to the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice. Okay, so this is just per se a snapshot of the cycles and ages of the, not only the faith, but really everything, really, because this is not just per se the faith. So now, ask your questions on heroic age, formative age.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Absolutely, go for it, Don.
In parentheses, underneath the Bab, Baha'u'llah, etc., you have parentheses something 1850. I don't know what that means. Is that this? I can't read it.
Yeah, 1850 was his martyrdom.
So what is the letter before 1850?
I guess it's death, D. That's when he
death,
died.
Thank you. I just couldn't read it. It was too small.
Yeah, I'm thinking death because that's when he died. That Baha'u'llah passed away 1892, 1921 passed, and same as the D for passing Shogh Effendi. So I'm thinking D is for, you know, death there, died.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. The first stage is the heroic age, okay? And the first stage is the heroic age. This is the periods of the ministries of the Blessed Bab, His Holiness Baha'u'llah, and Abdul Baha. And again, Miss Yuda Miller, I don't want you to jump and say it was 192, it's 1921, okay? Right?
Okay.
I love you, Miss Yuda Miller, right? I don't want you to jump and say, no, it's, what is this 192? It was my chubby fingers, don't always get those always in, okay? So the first stage is the heroic age, otherwise referred to by Shoghi Effendi as the primitive age or the apostolic age. This stage began with the declaration of the Bab on 23rd May 1844 and ended with the passing of Abdul Baha on the 28th of November 1921. Or more particularly, this is very important, as the Guardian states, with the passing of the greatest holy leaf, the sister of Abdul Baha, in July 1932. So July 1932 till whenever, we don't know, will be the period of the formative age, okay? The primitive age of the Baha'i era.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Why does it end with the greatest holy leaf and not with Abdul Baha? I don't understand.
Okay, that's a great question, Don. The greatest holy leaf station is really lofty and high, okay? She was the last member of the holy household. And the beloved Guardian, he writes it as that closed the heroic age. She was, some things we don't always know the exact answers. I don't want to come up with something that I'm not per se 100%, you know.
Can I say something?
Please, Ms. Sayyidajan.
I heard that she has a higher station because she even did not get married. She said, I want to serve Abdul Baha. I serve the Baha'i faith. So that's why her station is very high. That's what I know about it.
Listen, John, may I add a comment?
Okay, please Dr. Bhatt, and then Ms. Yuda Miller, please.
Sure. We are all aware that when the beloved Guardian became aware that he has been appointed as the guardian of the faith, and the fact that he had lost Abdul Baha, that he loved so much, he couldn't bear it. For several times in the course of his early guardianship, he just left Haifa altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And for months at a time, he went away to the mountains, Alps, to be on his own and think about things and sort out what he wants to do and come to terms with it. During all those periods, the greatest holy leaf was in charge of the faith. And he wrote many letters to the believers everywhere, confirming them, holding them, until every time the beloved Guardian returned and took the responsibility. And you know that, of course, in the course of life of all prophets we know, and all significant spiritual figures in the world, very often before they took up the mantle, they had to go on their own and spend some time on their own. Baha'u'llah did that for 2 years in mountains of Sulaymaniyah, for example. Christ for 40 days went in the wilderness and mountains. And the beloved Guardian, this was a very heavy weight. And he did just the same thing. So because he ran the faith at least twice, if not 3 times, on her own, it's not just that she was the daughter of Baha'u'llah and the sister of Abdul Baha, but for what she did for the faith. Even during the time of Guardian, she was the person that Guardian consulted with and sought her advice. Therefore, these are some of the elements that the beloved Guardian made that statement. Thank you.
Excellent point, Dr. Bhatt. Yes, she held the faith together at 2 critical periods when when His Holiness Abdul Baha passed, the beloved guardian was not aware of it, even though Abdul Baha had sent a letter, but it was held. And it did not, the message did not get to the guardian till well after Abdul Baha had passed. And so what happened is the beloved guardian was so overwhelmed and grief-stricken and shocked that he collapsed immediately on when that message came to him. And so he could not, he take up the mantleship of assuming the role of the guardianship. And so, as Dr. Bhatt mentioned, it was the greatest holy leaf. This lady of unsurpassing majesty and grace took up the helm of the faith during that point. And then there was a second time that she did it, when again the guardianship was just, remember the guardian went through an incredibly period of turmoil, surrounded by covenant breakers left and right, all his family members just attacking him left and right. So it was just absolutely hell. You know, I urge you to continue to read Priceless Pearl. There's a period where Rhea Khanum says that she wouldn't wish this on anyone. She says, my life is in a constant state of hell. You know, I wouldn't wish this on my best enemies, my dearest enemies, what I'm going through. The guardian is daily suffering, daily. He looks older every day. This is what her words are. You know, I paraphrase, but it's really to that effect. How much he was suffering. So again, he took a reprieve. And again, the Bahá'í Khanum took up the mantleship. I mean, really incredible lady. To your question, Dawn, her station in time will really, you know, be fully understood of what she did. And as all the ladies in the faith, there's not per se too much written about them, but there are, you know, books that have been published on Bahá'í Khanum. And I urge you to, and also there's letters of Bahá'í Khanum that I urge you also to read her writings, because what an incredible lady, to read her writings and also to emulate her life too. So thank you so much.
Yes. I also found out that she headed up the faith while Abdul Baha was visiting America.
Yes, 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 exactly. Very good. Thank you very much, Don. Thank you.
Thank you.
So carrying on this heroic age. Oh, and if anyone has a watch, keep my time on time, because I left my cell phone upstairs. So give me a signal when it's getting close to 8:30. Okay.
I have a comment.
Please. Is that Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, go for it, Bruce.
What I find remarkable is that she accepted Shoghi Effendi as the guardian.
Yes, yes.
Stepped aside. You know.
Great point. Great point. I mean, she's the daughter of Baha'u'llah. You know, incredible. I mean, everyone in the family of Baha'u'llah pretty much turned against, you know, the beloved guardian. I mean, even the father and mother of Shoghi Effendi, I mean, the whole family was just left and right turning against the beloved guardian. And this one, you could read Priceless Pearl and you'll see how much love he has for Bahá'í Khan. Really a beautiful type of relationship of love and mutual respect, and it's that connection he has to her is really an incredible type of honor she has.
Essentially, Bahá'í Khanum was the greatest support,
yes,
the greatest supporter of the beloved guardian.
Yes, yes.
All throughout. And another point which is completely without precedent in religious history is that she when took the mantle of the faith, as soon as the beloved guardian would return,
handed it back.
instantly hand it over.
It's a beautiful
And the
thing.
guardian would go away,
Wow.
and when he comes back, with much love, hand it over. We don't have such a thing in the human history. And the second, and after that, when it happened, was when the period of guardian, the period of the custodians that you refer to.
Exactly.
The custodians took the mantle of the faith, and as soon as Universal House of Justice was formed, they hand over the power to the Universal House of Justice.
Yep.
They excluded themselves from being elected, and then they became servants of the House of Justice. What has happened in this faith in terms of power and structure and love? That power was part of it. Power was not for the exercise of power, was really justice in it. It's completely unusual in any organization, religious or otherwise. Thank you.
Great point. Thank you, Dr. Bayat. Truly staggering. I mean, the example that Bahir Khanum gave of just handing off the mantleship of the faith, and then again, the custodians did this. Really, what a privilege we have as in our faith as examples on that aspect. Thank you, Bruce. That was great points. So to carry on this heroic age, the primitive age of the Bahá'í Era, unapproached in spiritual fecundity by any period associated with the mission of the founder of any previous dispensation, was impregnated from its inception to its termination with the creative energies generated through the advent of two independent manifestations and the establishment of a covenant unique in the spiritual annals of mankind. So this is how it's so different and set so apart from any other revelation prior. We have two manifestations of God during this period, independent, as well as we have for the first time a covenant. And this covenant is not per se the greater covenant, the contract between God and man, that he will send continuous guidance. This is a covenant that is with his followers, in that sense, that he will continue, in that sense, that the faith is kept pure, in that sense. So there's no schisms going to be forming. So from Baha'u'llah, it was Abdul Baha. Yes, Don, you have a question.
I do. I didn't understand the meaning of fecundity in that thing. And I looked it up, and one of the definitions is the ability to produce many new ideas.
Yes, yes. So this period is unapproached in spiritual fecundity. So all of this freshness of ideas, outpouring, is just coming from this period of this Bahá'í era. Okay? So this is the Beloved Guardian. You find this in Lights of Guidance, page 488. Moving along, the Beloved Guardian, Shoghi Effendi, has identified 3 distinct epochs. One of 9, one of 39, and one of 29. So these are important because numbers are always important in the faith. So 9, 29, and 39, right? Is that right? Are my eyes going bad? 9, 39, and 29 years duration in the heroic age, which are associated respectively with the Bahá'í Dispensation, which is 9 years, and the ministries of Baha'u'llah, which is 39, and Abdul Baha's ministry of 29 years. Okay? And we find that reference also in Lights of Guidance. Okay? Moving along. Now, to your question, who asked it on formative age? What does formative mean? Someone asked this question. So this is what now we're on the section of formative age, which we're all living in. It would have been nice to live during the heroic age, or just to see what's going on. But we live in the formative age. This period of, according to the Beloved Guardian, suffering that we're really going to be going through in America. So the transitional or formative age is the period of evolution of the faith. We're evolving. We should be, right? We should be changing, becoming a better person, a better Dawn, a better Deborah. This is the formative period that we're going through. And so this is towards the unfoldment of its potentials and the emergence of the world order envisaged by Baha'u'llah that we talked about in our last part 2 weeks ago on this period called the Golden Age of the Faith, the Baha'i World Commonwealth. In the Baha'i writings, there is no indication of the duration of the formative age. That would have been very nice. They would have said, 2221 or something, and we just wait another couple hundred years and lo and behold, we're nice golden age. But it doesn't mention that. We have to work towards it. However, the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi indicates that the formative age consists of a number of epochs that will gradually emerge over time. Okay? And so as you can see in my little diagram on the right, heroic age I put as this caterpillar, and the formative age is this cocoon. And so this is the, forming that we're going. And during the period of the cocoon, it's suffering, it goes through pain and molding and shaping and until it emerges into a period called the Golden Age. Okay? And we're going through this struggle right now, the inner battle, inner and outer battle in our world. Okay? This is the formative age. These are all the criterion, the major events that are going to occur during the formative age. And we find all these references, Citadel of Faith, page 6. Okay? Citadel of Faith, page 6. In one of his letters, the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi describes the major events to occur during the formative age, that during the succeeding epochs. Okay? So the first, the last and crowning stage in the erection of the framework of the administrative order of the faith of Baha'u'llah, the election of the Universal House of Justice, will have been completed. So we got that one down, right? 1963. The Kitab-i-Ahdas, the mother book of his revelation, will have been codified and its laws promulgated. We got that one down. So the Kitab-i-Ahdas has been codified and its laws have been promulgated. Now the lesser peace will have been established. Not yet. The unity of mankind will have been achieved and its maturity attained. That would be lovely to have happened. The plan conceived by Abdul Baha will have been executed. Not yet. The emancipation of the faith from the fetters of religious orthodoxy will have been effected. So this is talking about in the countries that it's being persecuted, the emancipation of the faith. That's not happened yet. And its independent religious status will have been universally recognized. So these are the criterions for formative age. Citadel of Faith, page 6. I've put it in a list form, so easier for reading. And okay. Thus far, the Baha'i faith has passed through the following epochs of the formative age. So these are the ones that we've gone through so far. The first epoch began with the ministry of the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi as the guardian of the Baha'i faith in 1921 and ended in 1944-1946, the closing of the first century after the declaration of the Bab. So this was the first epoch, okay? It says 1944 to 46 because the guardian at different points, he said 44 to 46. I don't know why, but he did that. It wasn't exactly 1 year, but that's what he said, was that period of the first epoch, okay? Yes, and then the second epoch began in 1946 and ended in 1963 with the election of the Universal House of Justice. And dear friends, we're going to go also into much more detail on the election of the Universal House of Justice and in our upcoming part, because this is one of the things that the beloved guardian said for a future age will be a requirement for. And so he mentions the election of the Universal House of Justice. And so I actually have some really nice things to share with you on that. This epoch extended the developments of the first epoch by calling for the consummation of a laboriously constructed administrative order, and was to witness the formulation of a succession of teaching plans designed to facilitate the development of the faith beyond the confines of the Western Hemisphere and the continent of Europe. The second epoch thus clearly demonstrated the further maturation of the institutions of the administrative order. So this is the second epoch. Okay, so this was period 1946 to 63. Any questions? We're doing good? Thumbs up? Excellent, love it. Okay, who would like to read this next one? Let's go to this one. So this is the first historic house of justice. This is from the hands of the faith. He signed Hans Faith, you know, when my dad said the Ministry of the Custodians handed over, you know, the mantleship to this is their letter. And so who would like to read this? Just say your name and go for it.
I'll read. Karen.
Okay, go for it, Karen, go for it.
Okay. First historic House of Justice is elected. On the occasion of worldwide celebrations of the most great jubilee commemorating the centenary of the ascension of Baha'u'llah to the throne of his sovereignty, with hearts overflowing with gratitude for his unfailing protection and overflowing bounties, we joyously announce to the friends of the East and West the election of the supreme legislative body ordained by him in his most holy book and promised by him to receive his infallible guidance. Members of the first historic House of Justice, duly elected by delegates comprising members of 56 national assemblies, are Charles Wolcott, Ali Naqshbandi, H. Bora Cavalin, Ian Semple, Lutfullah Hakim, David Hoffman, Hugh Chance, Amos Gibson, Hushman Fathiazam. To the jubilation of the entire Baha'i world for the victorious completion of the beloved guardian's unique crusade is now added the humble gratitude and profound thanksgiving of the followers of Baha'u'llah for the erection of the Universal House of Justice, that august body to whom all believers must turn, whose destiny is to guide the unfoldment of his embryonic world order through the administrative institutions prescribed by Baha'u'llah, elaborated by Abdul Baha, and laboriously erected by Shoghi Effendi, and to ensure the early dawn of the golden age of the faith, when the word of the Lord will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. Haifa, Israel, April 22nd, 1963, signed Hans Faith.
Excellent, thank you, Karen. So I shared this with you because it's so beautiful, as we've been talking earlier, of how the custodians, the Ministry of the Custodians, just handed over the mantleship of the faith to this now supremely elected body, the first of its kind, the Universal House of Justice. So this is the letter that they wrote to the whole Baha'i world. And here they are. This is the election of the Universal House of Justice, the members of the Universal House of Justice in the Shrine Gardens on Mount Carmel, and we can see them. From left is Charles Wolcott, Amos Gibson, Hushman Fathiazam, Hugh Chance, H. Bora Cavalin, Ian Semple, Lutfullah Hakim, David Hoffman, and Ali Naqshbandi. And as mentioned, we're going to go into much more detail on this in forthcoming session. Yes, this is so beautiful. I mean, truly the level of steadfastness, truly, and you know, even the closer you are to the light, the closer you are to the sun, it's so easy to be burnt, you know? And so I understand, you know, on one level, the covenant breakers, you know, they were so close to the light. And just a moment of dwelling into themselves, you know, in the sense of superiority. And I might, you know, we think about our egos all the time, you know, and it's so easy to do that. And they were so close, and yet how they fell. And we should look at even the examples of how they fell, and how can we be strong and faithful in the covenant. You know, these are things that we have to think about. How can I be faithful? How can I be strong? Because it's so easy to, you know, it's so easy to fall. We have to be strong in the faith. So without further ado, let's finish this section, and then maybe next time we'll jump into part 6, which is super exciting. I'm going to give you a snapshot over the entire early history of our faith. It is so cool. I mean, starting with Anton Haddad, and then Ibrahim Khairullah, and how the faith emerges. I've not seen this anywhere on video, you know, and shown like how I'm going to show it to you. So it's pretty exciting. So don't miss it next time. And it's pretty cool how I've put the whole thing together. Okay, so the third epoch began in 1963 and ended in 1986. So most of you, dear friends, should have been around during this third epoch. And this is an incredible period. The period of the third epoch encompassed 3 world plans involving all national spiritual assemblies under direction of the Universal House of Justice, namely the 9-year plan, the 5-year plan, and another 7-year plan. So this is, I believe, at this point, the third 7-year plan, because we had the first one, the Beloved Guardian launched, and then there was another 7-year plan, and this is, I believe, the third 7-year plan that was called. So this is the 7-year plan, 1979 to 1986. This is called by the Universal House of Justice. This third epoch witnessed the emergence of the faith from obscurity. So the faith at this point emerged from obscurity. And anytime any of the friends have any questions, don't hesitate to jump in. I don't always get to see any of the chats, okay? So this was a very, very exciting period. The faith was growing, expanding. Large numbers were coming in, expansion, but we also didn't have very good handle on how to consolidate during these years. So this was also a challenge that was going on during this period. So moving on, let me click. So we went into a 4th epoch. This began in 1986. I actually remember this when I was a little one. The Universal House of Justice announced the inception of this new epoch of the formative age in a letter dated 2nd January 1986 to the Baha'is of the world. The 4th epoch highlighted the significant developments that had occurred in the organic growth of the cause of God during the 3rd epoch. In the previous epochs, the national plans were largely derived from the Baha'i World Center. So this is very interesting, dear friends. So all the plans previously were coming from the top, Baha'i World Center, go forth, go forth. But now what happens in the epoch, these specific goals for each national community were formulated within the framework of the overall objectives of the plan. So now the plans are coming from the national level. So this is this happened during the fourth epoch. So they started having their own plans for national plans. Okay, and this was under overall objectives of the plan through consultation between national spiritual assemblies and continental board of counselors. So I'm giving you a perspective of the development of the faith during these epochs and plans. Then the fifth epoch started in 2001. And actually I was in Haifa when this, and I was at that gathering that you see on the right, in the continental gathering of the participants in the conference to inaugurate the International Teaching Center building. I was there right before that gathering happened, and the Universal House of Justice was preparing this the document marking this incredible period. And because it was such a historic period, they had to create new ink. This is what the House of Justice does, you know, to mark a very special occasion. So they created new ink, and they have a place underneath the seat of the Universal House of Justice, which is their printing press, okay? And in their printing press, I remember I was walking up, I wonder, I don't know if any of you have gone on pilgrimage. It's kind of like a slope going up to the Universal House of Justice building, and it's kind of steep. And as you walk, going up that slope, then you turn, right before you get to the seat of your House of Justice, is like a little kind of tunnel. And it's very well designed, so you wouldn't notice it in the picture. And you go into this tunnel, and that's where the parking lot is. That's where the House members park as they come up. And so I go into this little tunnel area, and right as I'm walking, suddenly I hear, and this member of the House of Justice had suddenly slammed on his brakes, and I look out, and it's Mr. Fatah Azam, you know? He's like, he jumps out of the car, he was like, sorry, Bibashi, meaning I'm sorry, and he nearly ran me over, but he was like apologizing, and lovingly, and comes and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm serving in the office of the printing press. I was there visiting 2 weeks, my brother, who was serving there for 2 years, but I was just on a kind of visiting him. And he said, we needed people to prepare this document for the printing press, right? Because it's a historic document. And so I was there, and I was working with one of the members that had been serving there for 10 years. And what they were doing was, they were literally making their own ink. And it was the coolest experience. And this ink was this, they wanted it to be this very fine color. The house had picked, they had a array of color panels, and they had picked this one hue. And they said, this is the color that we want for this document. And so we're in the printing press, had been working with other colors to get this exact hue, to be this exact color, to be for this document to be exact. It was very cool. And so when we got the exact hue, then we made that color, and then we went to and started to put, everything was printed, and then we used that color for the original documents of that, emergence of the fifth epoch. That was a long story, but I wanted to give that anecdote of how cool it really is in the printing press office at the World Center. Anyway, the fifth epoch started in 2001. The Universal House of Justice announced the inception of this epoch of the formative age in a letter dated 16th January 2001 to the Baha'is of the world, as the construction projects on Mount Carmel approached their completion, and as the internal processes of institutional consolidation and the external processes towards world unity became more fully synchronized. The extraordinary dynamics at work throughout the conference crystallized these indications into a recognizable reality. So this was another historic first. I mean, this gathering of this counselors conference, and this gathering of the friends coming together at the International Teaching Center building was another historic first. So additional epochs, they're going to come. In fact, I'm even going to go down on Zoom tonight and predict that an epoch is going to come next year. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's the conclusion, the centenary of the passing of Abdul Baha the end of a cycle of 5-year plans. And so I'm going to go on record that we're going to emerge into a 6th epoch, okay? We'll see if I'm right, okay? We'll see if I'm right. Because this is my prediction. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yes, please, Patrick.
Will we have some special ink for that prediction?
I'm sure. I mean, all of these great documents come out with their documents, because we only see the black and white. We don't see the colors of the original documents, and that's gets passed out in the World Center. And the members of the House of Justice, the International Teaching Center, and other dignitaries, they actually get the documents with the colored ink, like when they did the letters to the religious leaders, and when they did the letters to that document had to have a certain ink and color and everything. It's really pretty cool. I mean, how the thought and the love of the printing press, the Office of the Printing Press at the World Center, how much time and love they do for this kind of service for the House of Justice.
I love your story. I love the anecdote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, I'll share more of these things as we go along. So, additional epochs can be anticipated, and as I said, I'm going on record. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, it will come later, the 6th one. But on record, that 6th epoch will be 2021, and I'm going to call it at the anniversary of the passing of Abdu'l-Baha. So that's what I'm going to call it, as the centenary of the passing of Abdu'l-Baha in November. We will have the launch of the 6th epoch. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, we'll see. Please, Ms. Deborah.
I was just going to say I agree, because I think that we are going through a huge transition right now worldwide. And I think it's going to conclude at the centenary of his passing.
I agree. And the other thing is, apart from this historic period of the centenary of the passing of Abdu'l-Baha, we see how the plans are moving. We see the 5-year plans, how they've been, period of the institute process, 5-year plan, 5-year plan, 5-year plan. And this is the concluding year. We're in the last year of the 5-year plan. So we know that something is going to happen, So
we've been working on it since 1996.
Exactly. So this is, well, if we're, I assume that we're going to enter into a 6th epoch, which will launch us into something. If I'm wrong, and another thing is, I think something very big and exciting is going to happen. Hopefully, as COVID ends, I was anticipating a World Congress, but but because we're in a period of COVID, I don't think that might not happen. But we'll see something even more exciting forthcoming. Now, the golden age of the cause. This is coming, and what is destined to happen. The golden age. And we talked about this Baha'i World Commonwealth prior, and this is the emergence. So the golden age is the stage of perfection and the realization of the goals of the dispensation of Baha'u'llah. The initial stages of the golden age will be synchronized with the emergence of a world community, the consciousness of world citizenship, and the founding of a world civilization and culture. And we find all these references, World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 163, okay? The beloved guardian regards such developments as the furthermost limits in the organization of human society, though man as an individual must indeed, as a result of such a consummation, continue indefinitely to progress and develop, okay? And this is our second to last slide. And I just came across this one recently, so I wanted to throw it in there into our presentation so you have it. So Ms. Karen, go for it.
8:30.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
I'll finish this with the golden age of the Baha'i Era. God's purpose is none other than to usher in ways he alone can bring about, and the full significance of which he alone can fathom, the golden age of a long divided, a long afflicted humanity. Its present state, indeed, even its immediate future is dark, distressingly dark. Its distant future, however, is radiant, gloriously radiant, so radiant that no eye can visualize it. Promised day is come. 16.
So the immediate is dark, it's very dark, and the future is radiant, gloriously radiant. And we'll study Promised Day is Come if you stay with us, because that will be in our next, right after we finish Advent to Divine Justice, I'm going to do a presentation on Promised Day is Come too. Okay, this is our last slide. So I know we're at 8:30 and I tried to keep with time, and I appreciate, I think that was Bruce's voice, right, Bruce?
Combees.
Oh, Combees John, Hassan Abashi, hope you're doing well. Yes, thank you, Combees John, for keeping me on track. Okay, so this is our last slide, and next time we're going to into part 6, and so I believe part 6, our homework is paragraph 16 only, okay? So, and the reason we're going to do a full session on just one paragraph is because there's just so much in that one paragraph, okay? And so read that paragraph and keep up with our readings. I'm going to send you more homework and ancillary readings. Watch the videos that I've sent you. Okay, so let's have Test Fire. Could you read this one for us?
All right, the golden age of the Baha'i. I can't see it, that one. Okay, in the course of the golden age, humanity will witness that the banner of the most great peace promised by its author will have been unfurled. The World Baha'i Commonwealth will have emerged in the plenitude of the power and the splendor and the birth and efflorescence of a world civilization. The child of that peace will have conferred its inestimable blessings upon all mankind. Such outcomes will be unfolded through the successive epochs of the Golden Age.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tesfaya.
Thank you.
And that's it, dear friends. Okay, so that was our concluding slide for part 5. And next time we will have part 6. Any questions on part 5 before we have our closing prayer?
Excuse me. You
Yes.
said our homework for next time is paragraph 16. We just did paragraph 16.
No, this was paragraphs 12 through 15. We have not done paragraph 16 yet. Paragraph 16, let me look it up. I will actually do a screen share really quick, showing you that we have not done paragraph 16.
Are we at 15 and 16?
This is, here we go. Here we go. This is, I will show you 2 seconds. I may not be the most knowledgeable on Advent to Divine Justice, but I have read it a few times now, so I'm actually pretty decent on the paragraphs. This is paragraph 16. It says, starts with a community relatively negligible, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so that, Saidejan, is paragraph 16, okay? That is your homework to read for next time.
Okay.
So the Advent of Divine Justice, is it finished or not yet?
There is 124 paragraphs.
Oh, I see, okay.
So not quite as to your question.
All right.
Okay, but here's the but. There's 24 parts. It will start speeding up, okay? So in some parts, there will be, 5 paragraphs reading, okay? But the reason why our next part is only 1 paragraph is because in this one, it covers a lot of different things, okay? The onward march, obstacles, defections of prominent Baha'is, the ministry of Abdul Guardian, corruption, moral laxity, ingrained prejudice, in 1 paragraph. So it's a lot of things, and you can actually see how many slides I'm put into this one. 66 slides on 1 paragraph, okay? So, yeah, so it's actually, well, and I don't want to give it away, right now, because it's quite a fun presentation, okay? So I look forward to our next session. It's Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. And dear friends, another one of your homeworks is invite anyone else in your communities, okay? We're still, I know we're at starting on part 6, but we're going to start coming up on some really exciting stuff. The weapons, the 3 weapons, as well as then the double crusade. So it's going to be really getting wonderful stuff. So without any further ado, if there's no questions, let's have a closing prayer. And it's so wonderful to see all of you tonight.
One of our community members is sick. She just went to hospital today. Can I say a prayer for her? And can you all keep her on your prayer, please?
Please.
One of the assembly members.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for letting us know, Saidijan. Yes, she will be in our prayers. Please, Saidijan, please say.
Who is that?
Mujgan Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saidijan.
O God, my God, I beg of thee by the ocean of thy healing, and by the splendors of the day star of thy grace, and by thy name through which thou didst subdue thy servants, and by the pervasive power of thy most exalted word, and by the potency of thy most august pen, and by thy mercy that hath preceded the creation of all who are in heaven and on earth, to purge me with the waters of thy bounty from every affliction and disorder, and from all weakness and feebleness. Thou seest, O my Lord, thy suppliant waiting at the door of thy bounty, and him who has set his hopes on the clinging to the cord of thy generosity. Deny him not, I beseech thee, the things he seeketh from the ocean of thy grace, and the day star of thy loving kindness. Powerful art thou to do what pleaseth thee. There is none other God save thee, the ever forgiving, the most generous. Baha'u'llah.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to see everyone tonight. Have a wonderful evening and look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, be safe.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanju.
Thank you.